Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. My name is Scott, and I'm here with a great cast of friends here. I'll go around them one by one. Well, you know what? Introduce yourself and say where they can find your stuff very quickly. But of course, what we're doing here is to preview Money in the Bank. We're going to give our predictions and things like that. I'm sure they're going to be wildly different, and some of them I'm sure will be the same as well. New allies made today as well. But here we go. First of all, Ash, introduce yourself.
As you said, Ash Rose. You can find me at WWE Kids or Ash Rose UK. Yeah, looking forward. A bit hot, sweaty here at the O2. Yeah. Much, well, I didn't think it would be, but it is. But yeah, looking forward to tonight's show. It's a good crowd. The train was full of woos and yeahs, which generational.
A crowded summer train is one thing, and then people screaming in your ear.
Yeah, I don't like the I like the love the yeahs. Team LA night.
Yeah, Team LA night. I'm sure we'll have a few here as well. Over here.
Hello.
You do the plugs for both of us.
Am I doing both of our plugs? Right. Dom, Sam Smith, no relation. WrestleSphere.
The Smiths. The
better ones. WrestleSphere and Give Me a Whole Year podcast as well. We're rocking both today. At least I am, because I'm a walking billboard. But yeah, we're lucky. We're Team LA Night too, actually. Very much so.
He's not winning, but we're Team LA Night. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. SmackDown was the best SmackDown I've seen in a long time, as I said last night on your stream. It's lovely to be here, lovely to be among these good people. So it's a pleasure, and I'm very excited. I'm confident that this may even be better than Wales.
Ooh, big claim there. Big claim. I'm going to walk around as well. Over here, of course, you recognise Andy. He's been on the channel quite a lot. But Andy.
Yeah, Andy Spores from RushOnRock.com and Wrestling Royalty as well. So depending if you want to read something or if you want to watch something, you can find me on either YouTube or on a written form on RushOnRock.com. But yeah, great to be here amongst a veritable who's who of wrestling journalists.
Look at that.
But I won't take up any more time because you know who I am already.
All right, over here we got not one Scott, we got two.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Felstead, otherwise known as kind of Scott Future, Scotty Future, all those different iterations of Future. You can find me on Crime Watch, but if you want to find me on social media, you can find me at Twitter, it's Scott Future, and there and about. So I'm kind of a journalist who covers wrestling, not a wrestling journalist. And you can find my work on Muscle and Fitness, amongst other outlets, very reputable outlets.
It's a really good intro.
We've all got to sharpen up. All right, so here we are. Right. So what we're going to do, like I said, we've got our cast of media friends here today. So you're going to get somewhat of an expert kind of opinion that at the end of the night, you'll go, cool, they were wrong about everything. But we're going to give our predictions. Obviously, when you do that, your heart's in it. But sometimes you've got to kind of let your mind take over and be realistic about, that's probably going to be the key here. Let's start with a simple one. Cody Rhodes, Dominik. I'll start with you. Ash, thoughts on this?
I think this might be a shenanigans fest. I think, Cody can take a loss, as in, I don't think he'll get pinned cleanly, but I think they might extend this. I think Dom might scrape a shoddy win thanks to interference. Rhea, because Rhea's there, she's going to do something. She ain't got a match, has she? So she's going to do something. Damian Priest, Finn Balor, the Judgment Day all over Raw. So I fancy Dom to, give Cody a bit of a shenanigan loss here. Is that wrong?
No, I think that makes sense. I think there's rumours going around about a certain shenanigan that could happen. I'll see if anyone picks up on that as well as we go around. Let's move it on to Andy. What are you thinking, mate? Dom and Cody.
Is there a certain shenanigan you're thinking is... I'm not a Paul Heyman guy, so I can't do it as well, but a certain Brock Lesnar.
That's the one. Well, so this is the thing about Brock. If he comes out, I want the theme song. I want the, where does it happen?
That weird guitar.
No, I cannot. If you want to pay me, maybe. So yeah, Brock Lesnar. Do you think that's happening?
I do. I don't think it's enough for it to go on last and that be the surprise. But I would like to throw out an outlandish theory that I've got. Is that over the last few weeks, Natalia's been getting beaten down by Rhea. I have a feeling Rhea's going to try and insert herself into the match, and you might see Natalya beat her down, which might lead to a cash-in from the Money in the Bank women's winner. But it's a bit messy, so it'll be a bit contrived. But they have been making a big deal about Natalya getting beaten down very quickly. So tonight might be something to just try and give her, give her a little bit of something to get into Rhea. But it'll be interesting. I do agree with Ash. I think there's going to be some shenanigans going on. It's just how many and who buys is probably the question, really.
I can't imagine the pop that Natalya would get. Would that be a Legion of Doom pop?
She's not going to get a pop. Someone else might.
Well, an eagle eye there to kind of pick up on that. And I think that, it makes sense now that you put it that way. Scott, what are you thinking, mate? Brock Lesnar, first of all, but also the match itself.
So a few theories on it. With my business head on, I think that if you've got Brock Lesnar in the building, they usually advertise him.
Yeah.
He's only just a certain amount of dates, so I'm not too sure. Also, if LA Knight isn't winning, can we really take a Cody Rhodes loss as well? Do we send everybody really unhappy? So I've got Cody to win. Definitely agree on the shenanigans, though. There's going to be a proper schmoz going on in the ring at the O2 during that one. And, of course, Dominik is just going to get booed out of the building, which is half of the entertainment anyway.
I can't wait. I think he's playing up to it really well. Another one we'll touch on later on, of course, is Logan Paul, who I think London is going to make him a mega heel. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with him. Let's head over to the Gimme a Hole and WrestleSphere boys. The Smiths, as you heard earlier on, first was the better Smiths. Yeah, I agree. Go first, Sam.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I think Brock's getting involved. We've heard reports that he's here. I think he's going to just come out and kill Cody because this Dominik Mysterio Cody feud is it a big enough deal for the match? I don't know if it is. It just feels to me like a bit of a damp squib on the card. So I think Brock's going to come out and potentially just kill Dominik and then kill Cody, or
Just a lot of murder.
or pick the bones. Yeah, but all I know is Cody's definitely getting killed by Brock. The only thing is baby Mysterio going to get killed by Brock too?
Gotcha. Dom, what are you thinking?
So I feel like Brock is coming out, of course. I think it's a nice moment to generate some news coming away from London into next week if Brock does show up as a surprise. That's a personal opinion, of course. I think that Cody is losing because of that interference. Dom is a monster heel. He does have a place on the card because he is one of the bigger heels, I would say, in the company right now. It's still a mega match because Cody is, of course, one of the most over faces. But in short, Cody is losing tonight with some Brock interference to get a nice hot reaction from that crowd. Dom will be nuclear with that win as well.
Right, okay, so that's one match out of the way. We'll move on to another one in a second, but I don't know if you saw the interference we just had over Bumblebee. I'll be honest, guys, that's the calmest I've ever been. What? I'm just explaining how proud I am. I'm gonna. Oh, the Killer Bees. All right, okay. I thought there was like a new random. Yeah, like these, when these things happen, I've seen this year, we're all going to die because of wasps, that kind of stuff.
You've had a good run this weekend with insects and slugs.
Yeah, a slug tried to get my pint the other day. So, it wasn't, but Andy made that joke. Yeah, sadly. But anyway, enough of slugs and bumblebees. We're going to be moving into... They weren't a tag team, though. We had the Killer Bees, not the Killer Slugs. Although, that's kind of a cool name. Right, let's move into another match. Appreciate it's really windy here. Don't know how that's coming across with this microphone. So, apologies if a little bit difficult to hear at times. But anyway, I'm already here. It's live and raw. Or SmackDown, exactly that. Right, so... I can't bother to move, so I'm going to stay this side this time. Let's go with without the graphics. Something I don't want to go with the Money in the Bank just yet. So, thanks, Ash. Nice one. Riddle. I'll start with you then. Riddle versus Gunther.
Oh, that's a given, isn't it? It's just Gunther's because he's closing in, isn't he, on Honky Tonk's record? So so I think they'll go with that. I don't think Riddle's winning. Riddle's here to get a good, he's a fan favourite. He'll get a good pop, but there's no way Gunther's losing to Riddle. I don't know who he's going to lose to, but it ain't Riddle right now. So I think that'll be that's going to be one of those matches in between, isn't it? It's going to be a come down match, possibly after Money in the Bank, one of the first Money in the Banks I imagine. So I think not squash, but a Gunther win for sure.
It's mad, isn't it, when we think about Riddle not being in a prominent position, seeing how he was about a year ago. Yeah, injury. Yeah, and also. A lot of rumours about certain Randall Keith as well, possibly showing up. I mean, there always are around PLEs, of course, when big superstars are out. And I think people in London are kind of craving a huge moment, and I'd love it if it was that. But yeah, maybe Randy Orton, not sure. Let's move over to the Smiths again. What are we thinking?
First, man.
Yeah, so I think the Randy Orton thing would be great. Like I think he might still be unhealthy, but if not, if he's back, he could chase away the rest of Imperium if they start cheating, if they start interfering. Imagine that pop if his music hits and he comes out and annihilates the other two. I'm not going to say kills again because I was saying that a lot in the last one. Or they could have a loss where Gunther beats up Riddle and Riddle's there, picking himself back up. Then the music hits and they can please the crowd by reuniting Arcade Bro. And we can hear Riddle go, Randy, or whatever he does.
So that's actually exactly what I want to happen, and then a Randy Orton turn. because I want to be here for the turn, but I think they'd probably want it on TV to stretch it out a little bit more. So, but there we go. What about you, Dom?
So I think the turn is happening, and if it is going to happen, Randy Orton's going to return tonight and turn on Riddle and cost him the match.
Ooh,
Riddle and Gunther have a wonderful history in across the UK, across the world, of great matches, and this will be no exception. I believe it'll be one of the better matches on the card. But in order to send people home happy and to protect Riddle, you have Randy Orton come out. Of course, we all want RK Bro to reunite, but again, they're going to be looking for talking points. And what better talking point is not only a Randy Orton return in London, but also a Randy Orton turn against Riddle. Giving some reason tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, some in a promo would be fine to continue the feud. But tonight, I'm predicting boldly a Randy Orton return and turn on Matt Riddle to cost him against Gunther.
And there's your SummerSlam match potentially. But what if Riddle is completely taken out by Imperium and Randy didn't turn, or at least didn't turn yet? You could have a situation where the feud becomes Orton versus Gunther, which I'd love to see. Like, that's just because what if Riddle turns on Randy? Like Randy, okay. Imagine that.
Yeah. This is the thing. We're fancy booking all these things. I want all of them, and they can't all
have it. You left me alone. You left me Randy. So I'm going to RKO you.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, and then the people has become the master. He's done Riddle at his own game. The legend killer.
I say that. I should say, as soon as we are in London, I did say when I interviewed Riddle a few years ago. I didn't do it. Dan did it. We got him to ask. Basically, because he had just come out on a camel. I was like, what would you do? And he was like, maybe I'd get in a black cab or a red bus. And he was like, I'll be out one side and Randy be out the other side. And I was like, anyway, go check that out if you haven't already seen it. I'm going to move on round to Andy now. Going from round. Hey, hello! As well. We'll come back to you in a minute. Andy, what are you thinking about this match and, of course, the possibility of a Randy Orton?
Yeah, I'm not convinced Randy Orton's going to that.
You're bringing us down now.
I know, I feel really bad, but also, how brutal do you have to be that Randy Orton's first match or thing that he'd be doing was with Gunther of all people?
Yeah.
Jesus,
It's not an easy way back in, is it?
No. So no, I don't think he'll be coming out, but I think it'll be a great match. There's only two really on the card that I would say a kind of match of contenders that possibly, and maybe it's a bit extreme, but this could be one of them because they're both really, really good in the ring. And as Dom said, I think they've got quite a storied history back in progress. I think they have like a trilogy or at least two matches together. So it'd be really cool to see that. But yeah, I think Gunther's is winning this. And other than the Seth versus Finn match, I think this is one of the ones that will actually be a bit of a wrestling clinic. Both guys are very talented in the ring. So looking forward to it, but yeah, I think it'll be a fairly routine Gunther win.
That's it. How much time can it get? Because they are still big stars, and it could be a hard-hitting match, but it does feel almost like filler on this card. Scott, what are you thinking about?
Thinking about Riddle, as a lot of people do. He's a divisive character, isn't he? He's had his personal issues in the ring. He's absolutely. Is that Riddle's lawyer?
It's Al Snow and the Mississippi River all over again.
The hardcore championship. So yeah, I mean, Riddle is divisive, but he's a proper old school, charismatic star. He gets the crowd going. Yeah. But he has to prove that he's back and back for good. So there's absolutely no chance he's getting the gold tonight. Gunther all the way. It will be convincing in the finish. Who's going to beat him though? I have absolutely no idea.
When he wins it or gets when he beats the record, can we change the belt? Can we change the Intercontinental belt? I hate that.
He's just like, I don't mind. But I think he's very much like that. He doesn't, and a lot of they don't usually obviously diss.
Well, they've changed a lot of belts lately, haven't they? I've got this slight hope they'll get rid of that toy Intercontinental title belt.
I think it's not even that bad of a design. It's just not. It's not an IC title. It feels odd to me there.
There's
but
never been a better design, has there, than that original IC title?
I like the second one as well, but the original is the best. The yellow as well. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That's that question though, by the way. Who's going to take it off of him? Maybe this is the way to do it. That's going to be the one that Money in the Bank briefcase is for.
I don't like this.
I don't like it, but they have been selling it a lot this time.
That would open up for someone like Santos to win it. Somebody like that would give it an opportunity.
So I don't think you hear Dom, but saying Santos possibly as well.
It's just downright.
Right, before I'm going to do the same thing again. Now I'm going to come back to Scott, and you can pick the next match. Actually, what do you want to talk about next, mate?
I want to go with the Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan and Raquel match, which actually there's not a match on the card that I'm not looking forward to. And I think that as much as people probably don't like Ronda, I think she's helping to give the tag team belts a bit more credibility, which is pretty cool. So I think they're going to win. How they're going to win, I'm not too sure. But at least we've got a tag team title match that feels like a decent tag team championship match on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. It's been a cursed existence for those titles, so hopefully this is the start of something good. Andy, what about you, mate? Tag titles match?
Yeah, it's probably the one I'm least looking forward to on the card, but I don't think it'd be necessarily bad. But if they've got seven matches and they've got to cram it into 2.5, 3 hours, this one's not going on long, I wouldn't have thought. But there seems to be a lot of Liv Morgan fans kicking around still, so it would be good for her to be back on a PLE. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not over enamoured, but as you said, I think it's actually doing wonders having the belts on Ronda and Shayna at the moment, if nothing else. But I think after this, I will be asking who's left to really challenge in that tag division. So
yeah, I mean, he's not here.
Like you called it division.
Yeah. This is usually part in a pod. If Rob was here, he'd be saying, "But the Iconics have got really iconic." Yeah, we always have to bring up an actual team that would have been great to keep. But of course, I think Billie Kay's pregnant now anyway. So even a dream return for them doesn't seem likely to kind of give a shot in the arm to this division. But on that bright note about the tag division, Ash, what are you thinking?
I mean, I like Unholy Union. I do like, what they called? Not Kaylee. What they called? Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I like those, and they took it off. At least they're a tag team, so I wouldn't mind going back to that. But tonight, I'm with the guys. I think Ronda and Shayna have got this. It's good to see Liv. I like Raquel. I'd kind of like to see Raquel go out single-wise. I think there's more to her. Yeah. She's a bit different. The powerhouse kind of in that women's division, so I'd like to see more from her. So, I think keep the belts from Ronda and Shayna. I'd like to see them feud at some point. Shayna and Ronda. That would be nice. Yeah, eventually. But not yet.
Yeah, we finally got them together, so I think they need to kind of get the most out of it.
She was a dream in the media yesterday, by the way, in the media circle. Yeah, I think she arrived first and did the whole circle. I think she was there for the whole 3 hours and was brilliant.
Yeah, she was really good. Really good. And of course, check out all of their works as well as ours. Of course, we'll have interviews coming with Shayna and the likes on this channel very, very soon. Also, returning to the channel is Mr. Skillet over here. So I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself and say where people can find you as well.
Hi, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Skillet, or Ryan Skillet, and you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and all the kind of socials at Skillet World, SKILLIT World. And I'm a podcaster, I'm a wrestling enthusiast, and we're going to talk about Money in the Bank, baby.
Yeah, so we've already touched on Dom and Cody, and we've already... What was the other one we did?
Gunther and Riddle.
Gunther and Riddle. So maybe a very short one of those, and then go straight into the tags. No, you pick. No, tell us what you want. So basically, tell us about Dom and Cody very quickly.
I mean, I love Dom. I'm hoping it's a Cody win. Cody has to be booked strong going forward for now, and Cody doesn't really need this win. I mean, Dom doesn't really need the win because Dom's a shit heel. I mean, chicken shit
as
heel.
In,
so he doesn't need. Just give it to Cody. That's what I'm gonna. I just want Cody to win.
And the IC title.
Gunther has to win. Gunther needs to have the IC title for a very long time.
Beat the Honky Tonk Man.
And so they can build somebody. Well, yeah, exactly. Beat his streak. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I can't believe he still has that streak. So Gunther has to beat that streak and keep on going until they build somebody that's worthy to take it off his hands.
And the women's tag titles.
Yeah, and another winning streak needs to be given to Ronda Rousey and Shayna. I think they need to dominate that division as well until they build up a worthy tag team. So, yeah. It's the Mayweather era, isn't it? You got Roman, you got Gunther, hopefully Shayna and Rousey. It's all undefeated.
Maybe Seth.
Yeah, and like I said, there isn't a team there to take it off, and so it would be silly to do it now. I know that
there isn't even a team in NXT anymore, although because they called them all up.
Yeah.
You got Caden and Katana in Raw. They're a team. They might be someone they could go to next, but
Chelsea Green and
they're not thrown together.
Well, all right, let's throw it around now. Back to the Smiths again. Who are we going for? This is the tag one.
This is for Anthony Naylor, who's just texted me saying, "Tell Dom to stop rubbing your back. Do it more."
And he caught us with the flies down.
And apparently my fly is open. Maybe I like the breeze, and and we've just hijacked Rebellious Noises intro. But anyway,
absolutely. So I'll be quick on this one. As much as I obviously they won't Liv Morgan on the card, a huge fan favourite. I'm very much in agreement with Ash there. Raquel needs to go out on her own. I think that this team is it's had its day, and I do like Raquel, but again, it's better as potentially a monster heel down the road. Liv can always survive and do some stuff. So to me, this is a dominant showing from Shayna and Ronda. I would even go as far as to say as a squash to create more time on the card for other things, which is a shame. Obviously, WWE doesn't always prioritize in many people's eyes. I'm not saying mine or anybody else's here, but in many people's eyes, obviously, the women's division and the tag team division could be doing with being raised up in WWE, and more work can be done on that, potentially by putting more effort and time into Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, into some of these other tag teams that we've talked about. But in short, this is going to be an absolute squash and dominating showing from Ronda
What do you
Rousey.
really think, Don? You're absolutely right.
Ronda Rousey and Raquel. Perhaps in order for something like Ash's booking to come, maybe Raquel turns on Liv and we get a monster heel Raquel going off the back of this.
That's inevitable. I think it's got to come at some point anyway. So
Liv seems to be.
Raquel Rhea, don't you? You want to see that on the match.
Absolutely, and Liv seems to be the sort of the great switching point for many people to go from face to heel. You know, Liv can never hold a tag team down for too long. So we'll hopefully see what happens.
Her character's gonna have to change eventually, where she's like, I just can't trust anyone. DTA, bring that back. Sam, what are you thinking about this match?
Yeah.
As you get rubbed very nicely.
Well, I'm getting rubbed. Does anybody else want to join in? Yeah, there we go. There you go. You're just jealous, Anthony. There we go. Right, yeah. So I want to see, like, Ronda has just felt so stop-start for so long, to the point where everyone's a little bit bored of her. Do you remember when she was a massive star? So I can't. No, it's true. I want to see her be a massive star again, because she's Ronda goddamn Rousey. So I want her and Shayna to be dominant, to absolutely annihilate these guys, look strong. I want a good showing, but they need to be taken seriously as a threat now. They've got the belts. Let's build them up. And then here's the thing that they really need: a good story. Give them a story. Let's not have them just keep coming out and squashing people. Let's make something that gets us invested. This bloodline thing, this Sami Zayn thing is popular because the storytelling was phenomenal. Let's do it. This isn't rocket science. Let's just do that. Let's just make something we get invested in, so we care about these characters. And the Shayna and Ronda partnership and their sisterhood almost, with them being former MMA fighters and being friends. Like that, let's tell a story between them, like an emotional story between them. Maybe one of them's going a bit dark, or maybe and wants to start hurting people, or the other one thinks they should be more sports-like. There's so much they can do here. Let's do that. That's what I think.
Big fan of those ideas. Big fan. All right, how many matches have we got left? We've got the 2 Money in the Banks, the Civil War, and is that it? Yeah, 3 matches. 4. What's the other one? All right, let's go Finn and Seth title match first. Yeah. Should we do that first? Yeah? Okay.
Right, let's do it. I want Finn. I really do. I think he deserves another shot with it. I hope it comes to him before he finishes up, But this is all about Seth, isn't it? This is all about Seth. It's the Seth show at the moment in WWE, quite rightly. And I hope they put on an absolute banger. I do think Seth's going over, but I truly believe this will be the best match on the card. I think these guys will put on a clinic and really showcase the best of each other. So, but in short, for me, this has got to be a Seth win at the expense of Finn, and which is a shame because Finn seems to take a lot of losses. But you can't see Seth losing here at this stage.
It's almost just like Seth. Seth peaked at the wrong time when Roman had the belt, and Finn seems to be peaking at a time where maybe they won't be taking it off Seth either. I've actually predicted for Balor win, just kind of because I wasn't foolish, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, exactly. Got to try something.
I think Rollins, because I'm a massive Balor star. I want Balor to win all the belts. But I think Seth is and then on his own, just have
him and a demon.
I think Seth's gonna beat Finn here because they've created that second belt. They brought back a new version of the big gold belt to have a baby face defending it every week. Seth's great in that role. Balor's a heel, so if they were to take that off Seth now, they'd be breaking the promise of the current belt. So that's the problem they've got. They've kind of booked themselves into a corner. I would love a shock Finn Balor win. And then the idea that the tension between him and Damian Priest, if Priest was to win, because that's something's going to happen there, but also the women might be doing that angle too. So I'm not convinced, but I think Seth might win, definitively. And Balor gets squashed and buried, and they continue their feud with the Judgment Day elsewhere. But I'd love a Balor win. I reckon Seth's got it in the bag.
All right, Skillet, I'll bring it back around to you. Are you going to be a bit more optimistic for Finn, or is it Seth all the way?
Realistically, it's Seth. I mean, I would love it. I mean, I know. I'm going to take that back. I wouldn't love it if Finn wins it. I do
like it.
I'm a fan of Finn. I think it's Seth's time. Seth has waited so long to be a champion again, and he's on a roll and he's killing it. And I don't see anyone taking off the title of Seth for a little while. But it would be nice if it was Finn, because they would elevate Judgment Day to another level.
Yeah.
And it's a really good faction. So, but it's Seth. It's Seth.
Nice, short and sweet. Back round to Ash as well.
You can't add much more. I mean, I think Dom's right. I think this will be a banger. I think this is going to be the workhorse match. I'm really looking forward to it. I really like their match. What was it, SummerSlam, for the first Universal title match? Like, if you take the injury away from it, that was a great match, great moment, and they haven't really had a proper big time pay-per-view match ever since then. So I'm looking forward to elements of that. But Finn's in the form of his career with Judgment Day. Seth's on a whole new level with his character as well. And you're right, it's his time at the moment. They're building to a big SummerSlam match. I still wouldn't, him, Roman still doesn't finish for me. The Rumble, Seth Roman still hasn't finished. That hasn't finished. They need to build Seth up, keeping the belt. I'm not, next year's Mania, I wouldn't be adverse to see Seth Roman both having the belts.
Yeah, it's not a bad show.
Don't unify them.
Oh gosh, we've been there before. They'll do randomly. Brock Lesnar will show up on the pay-per-view and get a belt, and then they'll do it. Anyway. Charlotte. Won't put it past them. Right, okay, Andy, what do you think is happening here? Is Charlotte winning the World Heavyweight Championship?
I think the only thing I want in this match is let them take the handbrake off, because if you have this Seth from his kind of earlier WWE career in NXT seems to be a completely different wrestler to what he is now, and Finn is the same. When he did his second stint in NXT, he had this kind of the Prince, the sort of darker side of him. I want to see those guys have a match, because if they do that, it's going to be an absolute clinic. And it's one of those ones where at the end of the year, when we're talking about what do we really enjoy, it could be one of those, especially with the crowd. Could be really into it as well. So the one thing that I would say about this one is match placement. Where is it going to go on the card? Because if it goes on last, I would expect at least a tease of a cash-in. So it's one of those ones. Where does it go on the card? Because if it goes on last, I would expect there to be something, and it could set up something. It could actually be a title change. I'm not 100% sure, but think about the drama if Damian Priest wins the first match and then Finn wins the last one.
I'd love it.
It's setting things up for Judgment Day to combust. But
that's what I'm kind of hoping. Seeing them, two of them, and Rhea holding her title as well, it'd be as it was said earlier on, just to give the Judgment Day just an extra little kind of shot in the arm as well. All right, moving around to Scott. What are you thinking, mate? World Heavyweight title?
Well, I mean, I think that the main thing that if they give them 4 or 5 minutes, they'll be making a massive mistake tonight. Because I think everybody wants to see a 10, 15-minute classic. And then it doesn't really matter if Finn loses, just so long as he's done a great match. Second thing is, will we see the Demon, do you think? Who thinks we might see the Demon tonight?
They generally advertise it.
But then again, it's in London, and last time he did that whole Jack the Ripper thing as well, he could potentially do something linked to that.
It's unpredictable, man. You can't make it that predictable.
Well.
So but Seth, obviously, for my money.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now we've got the three heavy hitters now. Weird saying that after a world title prediction, but it is where it is with this Bloodline storyline. Are we going Bloodline? Are we going men's Money in the Bank or women's Money in the Bank? You can pick, mate. I said he could pick.
I apologize. Let's go with my idea, women's Money in the Bank.
All right, do you want to tell him your predictions as well?
This is a tough one, actually. I think Smart Money might be on Becky for this one. Because she's not really been doing as much lately as like in years gone by, and this will bring her back to where she needs to be, that main event scene. I think that makes the most sense. I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on that.
I think it's the most open match, because I haven't really got a what's good, there's a story pretty much for every person who could win. Like Becky, as you said, I quite fancy Trish in terms of everyone does, but in terms of it'd be interesting for her to hold it. I don't know how long she's sticking around, but her holding the briefcase with Zoey Stark by her side, being protected, I thought that's a quite story. Then you've got the damage control element if one of them wins. Is that everyone? Have I missed someone? That's everyone. That's everyone. I'm going to go Trish. I just think they might throw a curveball, and I think she's done well since she's come back. Everyone's this new kind of version of her, so why not? With help from Zoey Stark.
And I went for Trish as well. I felt weird saying it because Money in Bank for me is that upper mid card of breaking through to the main event. But at the same time, this run, I think Trish is on is great. She's now playing the Hall of Famer role in a completely different way. So excited to see that possibly happen. And as we said, Zoey Stark, on our original predictions, we were talking about the possibility of like a technicality where it's kind of dropped or given to the wrong one and this kind of thing. There's a play between the two of them, or maybe the ref doesn't see it and Zoey gets it and Trish is like, give it to me, and for a second Zoey thinks, should I give it to her? And she does do it, but that sows the seeds for the eventual, as it always does.
It's going to be odd to see Trish in a ladder match. Like,
that's a good point. I'm looking forward, and good for her. I'm glad she's getting this moment as well. So, and I hope she gets a big one tonight. Andy, do you agree? Trish Stratus all the way, or are you going with someone else?
I can see why Trish would win, but I think this is the most intriguing one with Ashley because anyone could really win it as an argument to be had. But also having two teams within a match as well could be cool because then you might see Becky and Zelina kind of team up to combat that as well. So the dynamics are really cool. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I think I'd rather see Iyo Sky win it, Iyo Sky. Slip that one. But yeah, Iyo Sky winning, I think would be a really cool dynamic with Bayley as well. But it's more likely to be teased a bit more or actually happen that they just kind of fall apart tonight with Damage Control. But if I had to pick someone, I want Iyo Sky to win. I think it's more likely to be Trish that will win it, possibly Becky.
All right, okay. Another big name not really mentioned so far is, well, it was mentioned a little bit there, but the potential for a big star in Bayley winning it as well. What are you thinking about that?
No, it's Trish.
Hey, and there we go. That's the end of
the reason why I say it's Trish is I feel like she's going to have that. She's, the legendary run. She's going to be, and obviously she's the best talker out of everyone in that match. So she's going to carry a program with the briefcase, talking about how much of a legend she is, how she's better than everyone, teasing that she's going to cash in at any time. I could see definitely Trish having another title run in her, and going off to the sunset when she loses that.
I like that. What are you thinking, Dom? Legend time or not?
Iyo Sky, 100%.
Iyo Sky.
So you got owned by Bayley yesterday when you talked about the Damage Control ending, and I sort of, she touched on it a little bit. I think people are sowing the seeds to that. Discussing it with her, she's fighting a bit too hard for Damage Control, getting a bit too angry, with various people when they talk about the potential of a split. And I think that's perfect. It's a perfect time. Iyo Sky, for a lot of people, Iyo Sky has been such a prominent part of that group, and also, NXT was amazing. I think this is the time not only for Damage Control to split, but the cause of that, maybe not tonight, but certainly in the next few weeks, be Iyo Sky's ascent above Bayley. And Bayley taking second stage to Iyo Sky as we go into the SummerSlam months. Iyo Sky will win that Money in the Bank briefcase. A solid pick. I've never been more sure about a Money in the Bank pick in my life.
Wow. Okay, some great.
He's most likely right.
Yeah, it's a great storytelling there. It's a great,
But Bayley spent too much time yesterday. I don't know what it was like for you guys, but certainly the ones I heard or the ones I was around, too much time fighting for Damage Control.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's great. But it was like, okay, like you could be working us all here. Oh, Damage Control's fine. It's not fine. Yeah. We know it's not fine. And that I think is a perfect storyline to head into SummerSlam,
Exactly. That's what you want going into the big show later on in the year as well. Loads of potential great stories here. Are you lining up with your fellow Smith here, mate, and going with Iyo?
I'm rubbing his back now, man. But anyway.
You're not rubbing my back.
Sorry. There you go, Anthony.
I got serious back pain. I need this stuff,
He was promised a Spada.
You could do my legs. You could do my nuts. You want to rub some other things?
Stream's starting to change now. It's a different kind of show.
Yeah. You tuned into this, did you? But I agree to a point. I love the idea of the tension between Bayley and Iyo. I've hoped to have seen more on that in recent weeks, but I feel like it's kind of fallen off a cliff. And wow, we are getting.
I feel like we're about to fall off a breeze. If you can hear this, apologies, guys.
But I think I love the idea of Bayley getting annoyed and something going wrong between them and her and Iyo in the match, and then Iyo winning it, cashing in on Rhea Ripley during the silliness, towards the end of the card with Rhea's there, but then Bayley coming out and costing her cash in. Then you've got your SummerSlam feud. I also like the idea of them teasing out that for longer until SummerSlam, but imagine the heat and the pop, and you can have a big babyface turn. Yeah, but Damage Control needs to end. And I do kind of like the thing they're doing. Like, remember, the whole Bullet Club is fine thing they used to do. Now they're doing it with Damage Control. It's great. I really want to see some drama tonight, but I also think they might do something similar in the dudes match. Well,
let's go on to that. Let's move into the men's Money in the Bank then. Who'd you have for that one?
Well, my heart wants LA Knight, to win, but then I think Logan Paul might be the obvious choice. But I also love the idea of Damian Priest winning it and Balor getting annoyed at that. But I think it only really makes sense for Priest to win it if Balor is beating Seth for the title.
Exactly that.
So, and if they're not going down that road, then they can go down the road with women instead. So there's a lot of moving parts to this pay-per-view, which is what I love about it. I love how it's a bit of this pay-per-view feels way more complicated in terms of what could happen, and everything's connected than before. So I'm really excited. So for the men, I think I'm going with Logan Paul because of the heat. But I want LA Knight to win because I think he's. But then again, if they turn him face, it's got to be on a heel. Because a babyface Money in the Bank winner doesn't work unless they do something on the night. That's what I think.
Dom, what are you thinking, mate? Men's Money in the Bank.
Look, man, like a lot of people, I want LA Knight, of course I do, but I sat next to the lovely Nick Houseman yesterday, and he made a really interesting point to me. It makes so much sense for Logan Paul to win from a business standpoint. Yeah. He can have that briefcase on the podcast in the background
for a whole year as well.
For a whole year. I want LA Knight to win. We all want LA Knight to win. But what seems more likely as we head into SummerSlam, one of the biggest shows of the year, is to have LA Knight face up against Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Briefcase on the line or not, doesn't matter. But a wonderfully over LA Knight versus a nuclear heat scumbag Logan Paul makes sense for SummerSlam, does it not? And Money in the Bank is the perfect way to sow those seeds. We all want LA Knight to win, but we all wanted Drew to win at Clash. Same sort of situation. Same sort of situation here. We will be gutted, but we will want that revenge. We'll want to see that revenge. LA Knight eventually getting that title win, eventually getting that win over Logan Paul, which will come, I think. But tonight is Logan Paul. So tonight is Logan Paul's night, 100%.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think the crowd reactions yesterday at SmackDown were amazing. If you haven't already, check out our kind of report we did on it last night as well. Going to bring it around to Skillet now, see who he thinks is going to win the Money in the Bank. Is it a marketing thing? Is it Logan Paul holding it in the background of his podcast?
I would say yes.
I could buy him one for £75 if you want.
I feel.
Is that how much they are?
Obviously, there's so much momentum behind LA Knight, which is absolutely well deserved. I was thinking of Ash actually because
bring him in.
Because Ash, one of his Mount Rushmore wrestlers is The Rock, and obviously there's a lot of Rock and Austin in LA Knight. I am going to be honest. At first, I didn't really take to him because of that.
Okay.
But now, in an era where nobody knows how to cut a promo anymore, he's so needed.
Yeah.
So I'm rallying behind him. I think he's actually really good, but I think it's a thing where it's like, we're not going to push him.
It's a WWE thing.
Yeah, they're not going to push him yet. They're going to build on it and obviously use the momentum of everyone upset that he didn't win it to make him a bigger star in the future. And Logan Paul is money.
You always argue he doesn't need to win.
Yeah.
Like, he's over. Like, you think Money in the Bank is sometimes used to try and just get that person over a little bit more.
And you can see, you can see it. It's Logan Paul opening the Money in the Bank briefcase and his bottles of Prime. It's all there. It's all there. It's Logan Paul.
I think this is the thing for LA Knight, like you say. I think he's over anyway. So there is an argument, and he's going to go into. I don't think he's going to title picture anytime soon.
He's not going to be over.
So maybe you just do other things with him. It will be a bad reaction tonight if he doesn't. Don't get me wrong, but maybe that's how they kind of counteract it with Logan. So. So at least you've got Logan becoming. I think last night becoming a mega heel anyway. So
if it's not night. I mean, I've got a sneaky suspicion about Damian Priest, but I think that might end flat because I think people will be like,
only if Finn has already got the title and you're like, hold on, that's the only way it works.
Do you think there'll be a swerve where somebody comes out and announces another competitor?
No, it's 7 of them.
It's 7 in this one.
I mean, they have had 8 before. They have had before.
And women's only had 6. So
Orton's supposed to be back, ain't he?
We talked about that.
Anyway. Even Brock. But,
Beast with the box. Money in the whatever he was called. Bayley in the Bank.
But I'm going.
I think it's got one or the other, isn't it? Because I think you're right. The reaction, if it's not one or the other, as in Logan Paul and LA Knight, I think it falls flat. It's not going to be Ricochet. Yeah. It's not going to be Santos Escobar. So it's got to be those two. I'm probably missing someone. But so one of those. I hope it's LA Knight because Logan Paul's not for me, but I see the sense in it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they're going to do it someday. They're going to give him a title, is the way I feel. So the way you get around that, if you think the title's too much, is give him a briefcase. It's kind of like a title, and then he fails to cash in. That's what I think is probably the best case scenario, because he should not be the world champion. But let's move on. Maybe Andy disagrees, and he's looking forward to him beating Roman Reigns. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I think this is, for me, is the biggest quandary, I guess, Triple H so far being in charge, because every so often WWE has that person that it's the fans that get behind them rather than the company, and very organically. And I think this is the first one since Triple H has been in charge of like creative and stuff, where he's got a decision to make. Is, do you give the fans what they want, or do you stay the course and do what you think is the right thing to do? And I think, unfortunately, WWE at the moment, the whole thing about Logan Paul traveling around the world with this briefcase, or like having it and teasing it occasionally, that kind of, is he going to cash in, is he not? Even if he gets it, I don't think he goes for one of the main championships. I think this is why they're kind of putting it, you can cash it in on the IC title or whatever. And but that being said, like, I do want LA Knight to win. I think it'd be great. I just think him carrying it, he can stay as a bit of a sort of tweener where he's not heel or face, like, but he's going to get a reaction no matter where he goes. It's kind of, I think, what he was saying in a lot of the interviews yesterday at the media junket is he doesn't care if he's cheered or booed. He just wants to be away from the zero. So I don't think it matters for him. Like, he's going to be over, as you said anyway. The crowd love him. I think he's going to get a monster pop. But
imagine the pop he'd get if he cashed in. Imagine in the main, if it's the main event and you hit the place would go mad.
The problem as well is going to be, it's heavy rumours this is the first match on the card. It's very brave if they do that, because if it's not LA Knight,
people are annoyed all night.
Absolutely crap over the rest of the show. So if it is first, it's going to be an interesting one to see which way they go, especially if Logan Paul wins. Boo everything for the rest
and you'd have to be thinking there's going to be another surprise. It's going to be something to make it up to us, and then it'll have to be, So
what main event Civil War, is that what's going to main event?
I'm still convinced it's going to be Finn versus Seth.
Really?
Yeah, because I think they're going to bookend it with like the potential of the cash-in. It's the only way you can kind of keep the suspense going that something big is happening at the end of it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was holding the mic right at me and I wasn't even talking. Anyway, let's move on to Scott there.
Yeah, so you can picture the scene, can't you? LA Knight, he climbs every single rung of the ladder. The crowd's going absolutely crazy. And then KSI hits him with a bottle of Prime. It's going to be something like that, isn't it? It's going to be something like, is Jake Paul turning up? What's happening?
Prime like it's a steal.
I could see all three of them. At least KSI, maybe even Jake Paul as well. Maybe you get all three of them. But I mean, LA Knight, I think we're going to be behind him all the way. It's going to look like he's going to win, and then at that last moment, they're going to take it away from him. Everyone's going to go absolutely ballistic, but it just sets up that journey, doesn't it, for his future, and gives him a feud then against Logan Paul and whoever else he brings with him.
100%. All right, it's your honour, mate, to be the first to cast your vote in the Civil War of the Bloodline.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what I would like to see, and that's Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns, obviously.
Not happening.
And it should happen though, because there's so many small steps in this storyline that there has to be a bigger step now. It's a deep, in-depth storyline. I get all that. We've got to move it along a bit. We can't just keep doing these little baby steps. What they'll do after that is what would be really interesting. If they don't do that, we're kind of going backwards a little bit.
Yeah, so I kind of see that they've just took the step though, where they've just become a part. So I think it makes sense in my opinion that the Usos lose, and then later on we start getting towards the Solos turn or whatever else, because I think it's something like that happened now. And I do think, like you say, like main event Jey Uso and how he was hesitant to get involved at first, it would be poetic, but really the next big steps are actually Solo and the title.
But don't you think, like, if you're going to pin Roman, now's the time to do it, where he won't lose the belt, so you can take that pin and then you can move on from that, and he can be destroyed on SmackDown and all that kind
But do they need the moment? I think the moment was to turn. There's that Killer B again. But who are you going with then? You want Jey Uso to do it, but is he doing it?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Because I really want that to be the result. So yeah, I'm going to say
Okay, we'll mention it at the top of the show. Sometimes with a heart, sometimes with a mind. That one was with the heart. Andy, what are you thinking, mate? Are we going Usos or are we going the other ones?
I think tonight you've got to remind people why Roman's been as dominant as he has, and I think there's only two ways you can do that. And you either have you either have Roman and Solo absolutely destroy it to the point where it's really uncomfortable for everyone involved, Or you could even combine that and say Jay does get like a roller victory and then gets beaten down, because I do think they're going to go in that direction for SummerSlam, where it's going to be Jay versus Roman. So the way to do that is you can give him a victory, and kind of say, oh, actually, I'm the first person in however long to get a pinfall victory over you, but then absolutely like destroy them. Because the thing is, at the moment, Roman's just been reduced to this like, oh, my empire's crumbling. I'm just laughing about it.
He needs to look strong again.
Yeah, and they teased it last night with the Solo stuff that Solo's not 100% happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be interesting. I think they might see another crack in Solo Roman as well.
I think that's usually the go home kind of reverse booking, ain't it? So that's what last night made me more sure. Oh, they're pretending Solo's going to turn, so therefore that they're going to win. Ash, are you in agreement with that, or you on the Hart side like Scott was?
I don't think Solo will turn, but you've changed my opinion now, Scott. But, well, I thought Solo would be pinned and the Usos would win, just for another little wrinkle in the bloodline, and Roman would still lose without getting pinned. But I think it makes more sense if Jey Uso pins Roman, he gets knocked out or a roll up or Solo's at full. Then we have a kind of vulnerability we haven't seen in Roman Reigns yet. He can go mental on SmackDown. Yeah. And it opens the door and starts the feud for Jey and Roman. So I think that's my heart. I think my head thinks Solo Sikoa gets pinned and the Usos win. But I'd like to see, the Usos win with Roman getting pinned.
Okay.
I think.
I think Rikishi runs over the Usos before the match starts. And he's done it for The Rock. He does it for The Rock.
That makes sense.
Or Ava Raine shows up.
I tell you what, if The Rock is here, you're about to hear me on every single stream ever.
I don't even want to start thinking that, because I don't want to be,
I don't think Uso's going to win. I think it'll be Reigns and Solo. I think
it's good that we're guessing. It's not an obvious pick.
Yeah.
I think Uso's going to come so close, and it's going to be so many near falls where everybody thinks Uso's won, and then Reigns finally does a spear on somebody, pin 1, 2, 3.
It's going to be the near falls match.
And then a feud between Reigns and Solo is the future, and Usos might have to take a little break for a little while, step out for a little while, and then come back later.
The trouble WWE've got, they're so good. This has been so good. How do they continue? How that level? They've put themselves in the corner. They've done brilliantly, but they have to keep that level. So we'll be interested to see which way they go.
After each level that they've done.
Exactly. Yeah, they've done it. They kept doing it.
Can I get this rumor that isn't Reigns supposed to be on holiday soon? So maybe it's
Have you seen his EasyJet booking?
I mean, let's make up stuff now. But yes.
All right, let's bring it back round to. Give me a whole year WrestleSphere, boys.
Yeah, I feel like it's been rumoured that Roman's going on holiday for like a year now. I'm very much in agreement with these guys. They've given me a little bit of food for thought. I think that Jey Uso, Roman Reigns feud is mouth-watering as we head into SummerSlam. But then obviously what does Jimmy do is another question. Does Jimmy obviously, and how does Jimmy involve in that? I think the way you could do it is a complete destruction of Jimmy tonight. Solo Sikoa wins for the Bloodline team. I don't think there's a chance of Usos winning tonight. And then that leads into, if Jimmy is injured, leads into a Jey and Roman feud as we head into SummerSlam. That's the simple version. That's how I think it's going to go down. That's what I would say, is that Jey goes into SummerSlam feud with Roman, Jimmy gets injured tonight, and Solo is the one that actually pins the Usos, but maybe teases some dissent with Roman if Roman orders him to do it or something like that. But that's how I think it's going to go down, man.
I think they're going to have to play into the whole Solo being conflicted. You're right. So, what about you, mate? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I agree with all of this. I think the story here, the money story here, is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. I think it's been that way ever since Jey stepped up as a solo star and took on Roman. Then all that stuff happened with Hell in a Cell. Yeah, I think that has been the story they've been telling from the beginning. Sammy, Solo, Jimmy, Heyman are all just wrinkles in this story. I don't think Jey is going to defeat Roman ultimately for the title, but I agree with what Dom said. I think Jimmy is going to get taken out. Jey will be the last man standing. They're going to go. I think they have a do-over of Hell in a Cell at some point, maybe SummerSlam. I don't think Jey needs to win the title. I think it's about him getting his redemption and him becoming the true tribal chief, reuniting his brothers, maybe reuniting with Sammy because they are genuinely what they want to be friends. There's so many themes in this story: brotherhood, acceptance. There's so many different things rattling around, and this has to end, in my view, with Jey being the hero, but ultimately Roman being alone at WrestleMania without his bloodline, the head of an empty table,
losing that title
to Cody Rhodes. That's where this needs to go, in my view.
Yeah.
That ends all the stories in one beautiful little
Yeah, you
bow.
wrapped it up there,
yeah,
nicely.
nice little bow.
You wrapped it up there, man.
Then we can evolve into a new era with other things.
That's it, yeah. Okay, well, talking about wrapping it up with a nice bow and a beautiful story coming to an end. Sadly, this one here has as well. Boys, come forward. Come on, everybody come in. Oh, thank you, mate. I try. Yeah, really appreciate everyone that's tuned in, whether you're watching live or on demand. Of course, a few more hours before the show as well. All of their kind of socials are in the show notes or on the Twitter post that we made about this at RM Pro Wrestling as well. Please subscribe for more. We've got a few more bits of content coming out this week, including an interview with Macho Man over here, clearly. All right, we'll see you on the next one, guys. Thank you.
Great.
That was better than Jamie.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.